grab a coffee because this is gonna be interesting. What's up, Fantastics? That's Alex's intro. Welcome, suomalaiset, to another video on this channel. Today we're gonna dedicate our time to something as ridiculous as purifying a language. Because that's something only some grammar Nazis and sometimes real Nazis really care about, and it's such a ridiculous idea. And if you want to know why, you can watch my video, if you click here, about how languages are living things, and to purify language is a very hard task. I mean, you have to get everyone in on it. Every speaker of the language needs to do what you want, you know, and that's really hard. If you're in a village and only 5 speakers of the language, maybe you can purify your language, do that. But in this case, we have Finnish, spoken by at least 5 million people. Yeah. Good luck purifying that language. The reason I'm doing this video is because I came across this question on Quora. And it says that how can we purify Finnish and get rid of all the Swedish loans? And there are a lot of loans in Finnish. Key here is that there aren't only like pure loans from Swedish, you also have hidden loans, like literal translations of Swedish words, which then also are Swedish loans, basically, but they are translations into Finnish. And then we have all like stuff anchored in the grammar from Swedish and other languages. And this is just really an impossible task, right? Let's take English, for instance. English is a language with a lot of non-native speakers because it's become the lingua franca of the world, basically. We have Singlish, right? In Singapore, Singlish. We have Jamaican English. We have a lot of other Creole languages and whatever. We have Euro English, which is like an official language spoken by the politicians in the European Union, with a lot of influences from German and French. It's basically bad English, right? But they use it in an official way, which shows that English has outgrown itself, right? So good luck purifying English. It's not gonna happen, right? But let's get back to Finnish. So you want to get rid of all the Swedish loans, right? Did you realize that a lot of these Swedish loans are really like very basic vocabulary? Did you realize that? If you're a Finn right now, think about it. You have a lot of key basic words. If we're only gonna speak about words here and pure loan words. Firstly, there are a lot of them. Let's take 5. For instance, I have a list. We have peili, which means mirror, and that's from spegel in Swedish. That's a pretty basic word, right? And then we have kokki, which means chef or cook, from Swedish kock. Haha, yeah, you can laugh now, but that's the word. Uni, which means oven, or from Swedish ugn. And we have väri, which means color, and it's from Swedish färg. Very, very basic word, right? We also have the word lucky. Lucky means law, from Swedish lag. It's just such a basic word. Let's take those away. What would you say instead? Let's purify Finnish for a second. Remove the Swedish loans. What would you say instead of these 5 words? Right. We can make up our own words, right? But the thing is that Finnish is very good at Finnifying the loans anyway. So as you can see here, they don't look anything like the Swedish counterpart, right? So, I mean, How pure is pure? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. So let's get rid of these, even though they kind of look Finnish and they work within the Finnish system, the phonology and whatnot. Then we don't have those anymore. What would you say instead? If we want to make our own words, is that pure? Or do we need to take some old archaic words instead? I mean, these people that want to purify a language, they sometimes they don't really think about that these words were loaned in or borrowed for a reason, because there might not have been a word for this occurrence or item or whatever before. So we need to make up new words. But is that being pure is the question. Let's be a bit philosophical here. So we have no idea, or we need to establish what's pure. Like, if we make new words, is that pure, or do we want to go back? Do we need to take old words and make compounds then for it to be accepted? You know, think about that. Let me know in the comments what you think. I think this is a very interesting thing. I really want to know how people think when they blurt out things like this, that they want to purify the language. When is the language pure? Because the development and the evolution of a language, it's a spectrum, right? It's a range. A language isn't just suddenly, here you are, now it's this language. It's something that happens over time, a lot of different changes, and so on. The language grows, just like a human being or like an animal or whatever. It grows. It might be another language. It turns into a dialect. It changes so much, it becomes a new language, and so on. So you can see, it's really hard to say, we need a snapshot of a time when the language is the language it should be, and then we can say purify it until that. But hold on a minute. Let's talk about all the other loans in Finnish, because these people they think that only Swedish has influenced Finnish, and that's so wrong on so many levels. I mean, we have English now, right? That's fairly new. So sure, we can just get new words for that. But Swedish has influenced Finnish for so long, for hundreds and hundreds of years. But before Swedish, we had Old Norse. And before Old Norse, we had Proto-Norse or whatever, right? And Finnish, why am I doing this? Finnish has a lot of words from Norse as well. Let's take a few. For instance, we have aalto. Aalto means wave, from Norse alda, or whatever. I can't pronounce Old Norse, but something like that. We can see this word still in Icelandic and Faroese. All right, pretty normal Finnish word. Ranta. Ranta is either a Slavic loan or it's a Norse loan. We also have, the word would be stranda. And in Swedish it's strand, and in German it's strand, right? And then we also have kari. Kari is scary in English. It's a little cobbly island. I guess we could call that a saari if we want, but still, it's a specific word here that's not Finnish. In Norse it's skarja, and in Swedish it's skär. A very good word here, a good example is tauti. Tauti means disease, but it's also from Norse, Proto-Norse, daudi. And you can compare that with död in Swedish, death in English, death, daudi. And in German, for instance, it's Tod, right? So Also a Germanic thing. Lastly, from Norse, we have one of the most Finnish expressions there are. Vittu. You say that all the time in Finland. Vittu. You made that into a verb. You made that into a noun. You made that into an adjective. Whatever. You use it for a lot of things. And vittu, if you don't speak Finnish, it's basically means damn or the F word or whatever. It's a swear word, but you can use it like you're irritated and whatever. You have a verb for that with that stem, whatever. That's from Old Norse. So let's purify Finnish. Take that away. You don't have your vittu anymore. But then we also have Proto-Germanic, and Finnish is very interesting because if you want to study Proto-Germanic, go look at Finnish, because the Finns did not change anything, basically. So these words are a little bit Finnified, but not as much as the Swedish words, Swedish loans. So we have, for instance, kuningas. Kuningas means king in Finnish, and it's from kuningas in Proto-Germanic. I don't know how they pronounce this, but it's very similar. As you can see, we have kaunis. Kaunis means beautiful, and it's from Proto-Germanic skaunis. And you can compare this to Swedish skön or German schön, for instance. We also have, let me look at my notes, aivan, which means precisely, like, it's also a loan. It's also a Germanic loan. Funnily enough, is funnily a word? It's very interesting that it's from, let's see, it's from aivas, and you can see that word in English, which is age. So yeah, it means a long time in Germanic, in Proto-Germanic. It's pretty interesting. That's a long time turned into precisely, or however you want to translate that. But that word, aivan, you can't say that anymore. And lastly, we have two more for Proto-Germanic that I want to mention. We have aukko. Aukko is just a normal Finnish word that's not Finnish at all, right? Means hole, but it really means eye, if you look at the meaning. So, yeah, augo or something would be the Proto-Germanic version of the word. You can compare that with Swedish öga or German auge. That's interesting. So it's in Germanic it's eye, augo, but in Finnish it's hole, aukko. Maybe it was whole in the beginning. I don't know, and it turned into eye. I'm not an expert on these old languages, but still, right? And lastly, we have hakkia. Hakkia is it's even in my notes it says it's even loaned before Proto-Germanic, but it's a Germanic word in Proto-Germanic. It's sakkia, which you can compare with seek, to seek, search, and Swedish söka, sakkia. You can see how that those words are related, right? It's very, very interesting. These stuffs. Too much coffee. Hey, rewind. This stuff is very interesting. So you can see, we'll get rid of those words, right? We don't have those anymore. No. And then we don't have much left. But we have Baltic loans. Salo. No good. Take that away. We can't say salo anymore. Which means a deep forest or a forested island, for instance. That's Baltic. Vielä. Vielä is also a very Finnish word. You can't use that. That's Baltic. In my notes it says you can compare that to Lithuanian veel, or I don't speak Lithuanian, but yeah, something like that. It means yet, still, and so on. We have kaikki. Tervetuloa. It means how many in Lithuanian, apparently from kiek. Kiek, there's the microphone. And it means everything or everyone in Finnish. And lastly, we have two more. Again, this is a theory though, but kiva, which the Finns use a lot for nice, is actually a Baltic loan. Oh man, I can't pronounce this Lithuanian thing, but you can see it on the screen. It's givas or something like that. Yeah, it means alive. And lastly, we have perkele. Perkele, you can't use that very Finnish swear word. Perkele, perkele, perkele is gone. Gone, is it? So apparently it's the name of a deity, of a Baltic thunder god. In Lithuanian it's perkunas. And yeah, in Finnish it basically means devil. It's a swear word that you can hear a lot in Finland. Perkele, saatana, voi vittu, and so on. That's what we learn in Sweden when we the only Finnish we know is perkele, saatana, voi vittu. So all those words are gone now. So Finns, what would you say instead? I bet you can come up with a lot to replace these words. But it doesn't stop there. We also have a bunch of Slavic loans as well. Let me check the list. We have vaino, for instance, which means persecution in Finnish, but it's from a Slavic language. You can find this in Russian, for instance. And here, the word voina means war, right? So that word is gone. Luokka apparently means grade or class. My Finnish isn't that good. I can't, but the dictionary says that. Anyway, but that's also Slavic loan. You can find it in Russian as well as luk or something. Yeah, which means bow. The etymology for this word, luokka, is pretty interesting. It's pretty weird. But anyway, ultimately, the origin is Slavic here, so that word goes. Then we have roja. Roja means border, like a national border, for instance. Roja, also not a Finnish word. It's also Slavic. You can find that in Czech, for instance, kraj. That's the word there. And what do we have? We have virta. Virta is also, we have the surname Virtanen, for instance, which is also very Finnish, Virtanen. And the word virta means stream. And yeah, that's also Slavic. Proto-Slavic vrta. And our last example for this video is vapa. Whoopa! Vapa means free, and it's ultimately from Proto-Slavic svoboda. Doesn't sound like that when you first hear it, but if you look at the rules, basically how the Finns Finnify their words, you can see how that came to be. So yeah, all these words that I stated, and these are only a few that I chose as examples for this video, right? We have a bunch more. If we take all those away, what would you say instead? What would be a pure, more Finnier way to talk? If we only speak about these words, these are more tangible than talking about grammar, I think. But there is a good piece of grammar, and also, like I said, direct translations. Those are basically also loans. If you want to purify everything, take that away. What are you left with? This is like taking away the childhood of a human and all the experience of a human. You are left with a child or a fetus, like the proto version of a human. See what I mean there? It's not gonna happen. It's not possible. But if you look at Proto-Finnish, you can see that there are also a lot of loans coming from languages which were active within like the same time frame as Proto-Finnish. So, we don't know what real Finnish looks like, basically. What's more pure? What's the purest form of Finnish? This Finnish has never existed. This Finnish that we have now is basically, I can't say if it's the grown-up or the teenager of Proto-Finnish or the Finnish pre-Proto-Finnish or whatever, but we can't purify Finnish. It's impossible. So when is it for you now? Think about this. When is it possible to say that Finnish is pure and purified? We can't just say, we don't want any Swedish loanwords because then Finnish will be pure. That doesn't make any sense. Because, okay, Finland was a part of Sweden, but it's also wrong to say that. I mean, I've said this before. Finland was Sweden. It was not a part of Sweden in that sense. It didn't belong to Sweden. It was Sweden, right? Finland didn't exist. So it's, of course, one language will dominate and be basically the language that is used in politics and the laws and whatever. That's only natural, and it's also thus natural that a lot of loans will appear in the minority languages or other languages that don't have this official status. That's gonna happen, of course. I don't see the purpose of removing these, and this is not because I'm Swedish. Like I said, take those away. But why wouldn't you then take the other languages away? Because you have a grudge against Sweden or Swedish speakers? Is that it? Because it's like it's faulty, right? The argument there. If you want to purify Finnish, it's not gonna happen, and it's not possible because you can't say when Finnish was Finnish. Can you see what I mean here? It's a very interesting and sometimes philosophical topic to speak about, and I thought it would be interesting to share this with you and also hear your take on this in the comments down below. Now, think a little bit and be realistic when you comment on this. Don't think of any like political agenda here. I don't want to know your political views. I want to know how would you define Finnish. Where is Finnish pure? Because Finnish has always loaned or borrowed words from other languages. For as long as you've been around, and for longer than that, for thousands of years. It's not possible to say that Finnish would have existed without these languages. They have helped grow Finnish, if you get what I mean here. So I hope that you like this video, and if you want to know more or if you want to see more about Finnish, you can check my playlist on Finnish if you click here, and Finland. And if you want more from me about languages, you can also click here. We have something about a playlist about languages there as well. And subscribe if you like my videos. I would be happy. All right. Take care. We'll see each other in another video. Ha det bra. Goodbye.